Hi, my name is Robert Dean Steele, and today I want to chat with you for just a few minutes about what's been happening in my country. Now, in my country of Canada, we just went through a general election. And for some of us, we're not very happy about the results because the incumbent is back in power. And he hasn't always been a righteous or godly man. But the reality of the situation is that we are called as Christians to pray for those in authority over us so that we can live a quiet and peaceful life. Now, I want to remind you about the fact that in history, God has used Christian men and women, or actually godly men and women, in times past. One of my favorite Old Testament characters is Joseph. Now, Joseph, he was a man of influence during the reign of Pharaoh in Egypt. And in fact, God used Joseph to save not only Egypt, but as well his own family. Another example of a man who was mightily used of God and was a godly man during what we would say very ungodly leadership was Daniel. Daniel was able to influence Nebuchadnezzar. He was able to influence Darius, and he was able to be a godly influence in a very ungodly area. Now, what we need to pray for is we need to pray for Daniel's and Joseph's. And we also need to pray for leaders who are both righteous, godly, are walking with wisdom, integrity, character, and accountability, and are as well walking in transparency. We need good leadership. Now, this is an interesting opportunity for the incumbent and the current leadership of Canada to take a brand new start. Yes, the old regime was covered with scandal and controversy, but now our prime minister has an opportunity to have a brand new slate. My prayer is for him that he will not continue on doing what he thinks he can do. You see, arrogance and also thinking that you can do whatever you want will lead to a person's downfall. My prayer is that he will be more gracious. He will walk with integrity. And we need to pray for him. Not only should we pray for him, but we should also pray for the other leaders of the other political parties, like Andrew Scheer. Andrew says, hey, we're going to hold his feet to the fire. Well, the opposition is, of course, to be opposing views that are not, in the best interest of Canada. We shouldn't be following bipartisan things all the time. But what we need today is we need godly leadership. Now, I want to remind you about Proverbs 13:34 that says, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is reproach to the evil. My prayer today for this leadership and for this term of parliament is that we would have righteous leadership and that this leadership would be not a reproach, but it would be a blessing to our land. Now, what do we do as Christians? Well, first of all, we need to pray. Well, I mean, the biggest thing we need to do is pray. And some people say, well, we prayed about this and look what we got. The reality of the situation is, and I might not like to say this, but often we get the type of government that we deserve. I would hate to think that we deserve a government that is corrupt, a government that is, overlooking the rights of, of godly people. But I want to remind you today that righteousness will prevail when the people of God go to God and pray. And that's what we need to do. That's our biggest responsibility. The next big responsibility is to be the conscience of our nation. And that means that what we need to do in every arena of life, let's bring Jesus Christ into this. You say, even the political arena? Yes, even the political arena. We as believers need to let our politicians know what our wishes are. We need to email them, we need to phone them, we need to remind them that there are good people out there who are praying for them and want the very best for them. That's why we need to support things like prayer breakfasts and leadership and say to leadership, we're praying for you. Because if they know that people are praying for them, it helps them to think about the spiritual aspect, the righteous aspect, doing the right thing. You know, honesty, integrity is not just a Christian virtue. It should be a virtue across the board. It really should. So my prayer for us in Canada is today is that Lord, you would make this once more a righteous nation. Because we know that God's blessing will flow into a nation when the leaders are attempting to be righteous. We also know what happens if we don't. We also face catastrophic problems. And so we don't want to have that happen. So that's what we need to pray for our nation and our leadership. So today, do that. Today, spend time in prayer, praying for the new term of government that we have here in Canada. And continue to pray not only for the federal government, but also for your provincial government and as well your municipal government. So let's do that. So don't forget to do that. My name is Robert Dean Steele. This is a word for Canada today.